So, Cut to the Chase Sports Podcast. We're reacting to the Ohio State spring game that happened on Saturday. Let's get into the video.
ATL Jacob.
What's up, everybody? I am the host of the show, Chase Yance, alongside my two good friends, Brady King and Matt Ricketts. What's going on with you guys?
Not too much, same old. Ready to react to the spring game, give our analysis, and ready to rock and roll. Matt thinks he's on him, I'm sure.
Are you on him, Matt?
Turning and burning, I'm on him today, boys. I'm a little tired. Work really kicked my ass today. I know I've used some other language before, but just going to keep it to PG-13 today.
Yeah.
But, I'm ready to rock and roll, talk a little Buckeye football here.
Yep, it's something we do on this show. And if you guys want to see more of these videos from the past, talking Ohio State football, NFL draft, NFL, all that stuff, just, like this video, subscribe, check out our latest videos, past videos, interviews, all that good stuff. And let's get into the video. Now, we talked about our, predictions for our spring game MVPs, offensive and defensive. I believe Matt said that he had Carnell Tate and Sonny Styles, and I asked him why he said that, and he said, "Fuck it, that's why." So, so what did you like from Carnell Tate and Sonny Styles on Saturday, Matt?
Well, I mean, Carnell Tate showed out for sure. I thought Sonny played pretty well as well, but going on the offensive side of the ball first, I thought Carnell, he had a couple grabs, and then obviously the big touchdown pass down the sideline kind of gives you flashes of, for other Buckeye fans, Garrett Wilson gives you flashes of Garrett Wilson again. I don't know. He's just he's not necessarily as freaky athletically as Garrett is, but he kind of moves kind of the same way. I don't know. He was back returning kicks, which is something we've lacked over the past few years. A good kick returner / punt returner. So I'm thinking hopefully this year, maybe if he doesn't crack that starting rotation, that's a way we can, he can really contribute to the team as, back there returning punts and kicks, things of that nature. But I thought he played really well. I thought that you could argue that he was the offensive MVP. There wasn't really somebody that, that really stood out on either side, I guess, like that was no doubter the offensive MVP. Guys like Chip Trainum had a good game. Noah Rogers had a big play. Even Marvin had some, on that one possession, he just absolutely torched the defense. So those are some of those guys. But Sonny Styles, I thought he played pretty well. I guess I don't really have a guy that really stood out a ton on defense. There was a couple guys that made some good plays here and there. But I thought Sonny played well too.
We'll talk about, Marvin Harrison Jr. here in a little bit in this show. We're going to compare him to some, potential, some greats in the college football game. Brady, I want to get your thing. You had Joe Royer as your offensive MVP potential, and then you had Davison Igbinosa, the Ole Miss transfer. What did you like from them, and who did you think was the MVPs for both sides of the ball?
Yeah, so Royer, I think he only had one catch. That was a miss. Still like what I've seen from him in general. I thought he was open a little bit. Kyle just, wasn't pulling the trigger. Also, Tristan Gebbia as well was not pulling the trigger. But I feel like the offensive MVP to me was probably Chip Trayanum. And I also think he should be getting a lot of carries this year. I feel like he's probably my RB3 on this team, which is, a really good player in a five deep running back room. And that 70-yard touchdown was explosive. I haven't seen that speed from a guy that big in a while. And, if he runs hard and he's fast like that, he could be a great player. So he'd be my offensive MVP. Davison Igbinosa, on the other hand, had a really good game on defense. Didn't allow any catch. He allowed one catch, and it was he was in cover 3, and it was a little check down. Then he came up and he blew it up immediately. Other than that, he was locked down. So I really like what I saw from Igbinosa. Him and Denzel Burke were two of the better players on defense, both at corner. It's kind of what I want the starting corner duo to look like this year, even though I was really high on Jordan Hancock out of high school. Defensive MVP-wise, if I had to pick one, I would probably go with Kenyatta Jackson, defensive end. second-year player out of Florida. Just seems to me, I think he's our most natural pass rusher. I think he might be the twitchiest pass rusher on the team, speed-wise. And obviously, JT's our best defensive end. There's no doubt. He's the freakiest. But in terms of just straight-up sack production, I think Kenyatta Jackson might be the best on the team. I think he's my defensive MVP with Chip Trayanum, offensive MVP. And then again, I just want to – Carnell Tate, great game. Looks to have a bright future. Cook Jair Brown. I believe I brought up that he sucked last episode. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, I'll say this though. I thought on defense, CJ Hicks had a really, really good day. I mean, you saw on the first couple possessions, he got his hands on a couple of Kyle McCord's passes. I think he almost had a one-hand interception, dropped another one as well. He was all around the football today, tackling or, wrapping up and all. But, I mean, he was all around the football. I thought, that was a guy that I saw a lot of on Saturday, number 11, CJ Hicks. And then, I could argue either Carnell Tate or Chip Trayanum, on for both, on offense. So, I mean, both of those guys had very good days. I want to ask you guys this. So if Chip is the number 3 back, what's going to happen with Dallin Hayden? Like, is he gonna just sit there in the deep running back room, or is he just gonna bounce? What do you guys think?
I think he's gonna sit there this year for sure. I think after the spring, he's got a pretty good spot. I'm not going to necessarily say they're lying to him, but the fact that our 3 oldest running backs were out for spring for the most part really helped Dallin and Chip get a feel like they're the guy. So I feel like Dallin's going to be there this season. I still think he'll get some carries, and he's a good back for sure. But it could lead to an eventual portal entry next year, and that's just what happens when you got this many backs. Or maybe the other guys all leave, other than maybe Evan Pryor, or maybe he hits the portal. It's kind of combobulated, especially with the ages of these guys, with Trey and Mayan looking to leave after this year, and Chip Trayanum also being a 4th-year player this year. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Dallin Hayden and all those guys, for sure.
Matt, your thoughts below. What do you think?
It's kind of a crazy thing. I mean, I'm going to catch a lot of heat saying this, but how healthy can TreVeyon Henderson stay, I guess, is very important. With the way the Chip ran on Saturday, it's a spring game. Okay, so I'm not going to take a ton away from this, but he looked pretty damn good. And he looked pretty damn good against Michigan too last year. If Chip runs like that, he might – TreVeyon Henderson might fuck around and be the 4th best back on the team. Let's be real. Dallin Hayden is a very, very consistent running back. So let's I guess I'm going to hot take here. I mean – Trey might need to be the one hitting the fucking portal. He's not going to hit the portal this year. I'm saying in the future, maybe next season.
Yeah.
It won't be this year, no doubt. There's no chance in hell it's happening this year. So I guess Chip Trayanum's going to play a lot on special teams too. Dallin hopefully does as well. So maybe Dallin and Chip are kind of I don't know, 3-4, you know what I mean, type deal. And Dallin just sits around.
What it's looking like.
Yeah. So, I guess we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully Trey stays healthy, and I'm completely wrong about it. But from what I've seen so far, I'd have to say there might be 3 backs better than him.
When you have all that talent in that room, I mean, not everybody's going to stay in that room. You got all that talent. Someone's going to want to be the star somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if you're able to keep 3 of those guys, 4 of those guys, I mean, that's fantastic. But, I mean, obviously one of those guys is going to end up trying to make a name for themselves somewhere else. Brady, what were you going to say there?
I was just going to say it's really weird to feel the fact that we have Evan Pryor coming back and like never having high-level experience, but knowing that how explosive he can be. And I remember against Indiana as a freshman, we were putting it on him. We were up by like 40. Put in Evan Pryor. That man was a natural runner with the ball in his hands. And then in the spring game last year, he was the no doubt offensive MVP. Running for long gains, catching long gains. I mean, he's a pass catching back of the backfield. So to think that he might be the 5th back is a little scary. Personally, I hope I want him to be in the top 3 because I think he brings that kind of explosiveness potentially to this offense. But crazy the depth in this room.
It is, man. I mean, but the reality is, man, you got 5 of those backs, and you're looking at 2 of them or 3 of them really that are like third and fourth year players. If guys want to sit the pine and wait another year, that's one thing. That's something that Dallin Hayden could do. But a guy like Evan Pryor, if he could stay healthy, he could find himself in the SEC somewhere. That's, some type of place down there that does a lot of throwing and all that. SEC, Big 12, whatever you want to call it. Those basically the 7-on-7 conferences is where he could probably end up going to, So
I think sorry. I was just going to bring up a team that I think he would be a potential lock to. And I'm not sure if you know this. He's from North Carolina, and we beat them out in a really close recruitment. And the way they've been passing the ball, I got a feeling he might be a Tar Heel this upcoming season. I have a feeling we might see his name in the portal in the next couple of days, which I'm worried about because of what he brings to the table. But I think he might be Drake May's running back this year.
That's pretty bold right there. But I mean, he
definitely.
Yeah, we got you. But yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, he could go down there if, with the pass happy offenses that, a lot of teams down south have to offer. I mean, especially going back home and all that with, arguably a top 2 quarterback in next year's draft class. So that'll be something interesting to look at. Let's talk about our quarterback real quick, or quarterbacks. Kyle McCord played on Saturday. He was all right. I mean, obviously I know it's a spring and all that stuff, but what were your guys' if you guys had to grade him on, a school system grading scale, what would you grade his performance at on Saturday? Brady, what's yours?
I would go with a C.
Okay.
So you want me to give my analysis or?
Let me just hear Matt's first.
Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Matt, what you got?
I'll give him a C+.
Okay. All right. What were some things that, that he needs to improve on? All right. There might be a lot of things, but what are some things he needs to improve on? That just some stuff that caught your eye where you're like, ooh, that's not that good. Maybe
movement in the pocket. I would say moving a little bit better. Knowing when now it's a spring game, I guess, so it's kind of different, I guess, because when you're rolling out in a game, there's a lot more of if I see 5 yards, I'm running and nobody's open, I'm running for the 5 yards, as opposed to when you're playing a spring game, you're trying to get work actually doing certain things, you know what I mean? Rolling and actually making the throw downfield when you're breaking the pocket, things like that. I'd say he just doesn't look extremely comfortable doing that right now. And it could be partly because of, the new offensive line we're breaking in as well. Like everything's just kind of gel. It's kind of hard to really pick a ton of things that he needs to work on. It just doesn't look great. You know what I mean? I will say this. One thing he does, I saw a couple times that he did really well was he threw into traffic a couple times. I even pointed it out to you guys when we rewatched the game. He threw that ball to Jaden Ballard into double, triple coverage, right on the money, right in his hands. Literally, there was a perfect pass. So I will say that one thing that's caught my eye a little bit in terms of what he did well was there were a couple throws where he was throwing into tight windows, NFL-ish windows, where he's got to put it on the money, and he was able to put it on the money multiple times. So I would say he's making the big-time throws. They're just other things that, he's got to get better at.
Yeah, and that's one thing. I mean, there are coaches out there that'll be like, ooh, I don't want my quarterback taking a risk like that and putting the ball in the harm's way. But if you're a guy that's, obviously at quarterback, you got to be accurate, man. All right. We've talked about this before. Like, a Trey Lance knock in the draft is accuracy. Then why the hell are you going to be a top 3 pick at quarterback? All right. But like if Kyle McCord is putting the ball in tight spaces and he is being accurate with it, that's something to be really excited for. He's willing to go out there and be like, I'm gonna fit this thing in there. It's cool. Like it's a positive thing. At the same time, it can be a negative thing. You get a little too carefree with it. But if you're smart about it, if you're real dialed in, the progressions and all that, then it could be a really good thing going forward. Brady, what's something that you think that you saw that you were like, Kyle McCord could improve on that, and what's something that you like from him?
I just feel like he's nowhere near as comfortable as CJ was back there. And that's not just meaning like moving in the pocket. That's just knowing where to go with the ball, delivering the ball with rhythm, confidence. It just was a little more out of rhythm than what we're used to. And that was my main thing. And also, I don't know that his arm is good, but it's nothing great. Like, I don't think he is an elite level talent. But one thing I thought he did well was I thought he threw the ball downfield pretty accurately a lot of the time for the most part. He had that beautiful bomb to Carnell Tate. That was a textbook deep ball, perfect in stride touchdown. Jair Brown cooked. And then that one to Jaden Ballard, really good pass to Jaden. Really good play by Denzel. Was good to see there from Burke. But some people have compared this performance to the likes of Justin Fields or Dwayne Haskins in the spring game. I'm here to tell you it's just not the same. Like, those guys, you could see that they were really good. And plus, Dwayne's spring game, he'd already played really good in real games and during the previous spring game. So it's like – and then Justin Fields, I mean, we know how those guys turned out. But I don't necessarily think that's near the case with Kyle. And I think – I'm just going to say this now. There's clearly going to be quite the drop-off at the QB position this year. The good thing is he's got weapons, and that'll make it easier for him.
I'll just say this real quick, all right? Just a question out there, trivia question. When was the last time Ohio State had a white quarterback? Think back real quick. Started week 1, all right? I know Joe Bauserman, all right? Like, week 1, 2011. Yeah. Who was the last one that started an entire season? I think we know who this is, but yeah. That's a long time, man. That's a long time. Saying anything right there. That's a long time. It's a little different right there. But I'll also say this: Kyle McCord, 2007. You said,
yeah,
that's going to the national championship against LSU right there, down in the Super Bowl. But yeah, but one thing Kyle McCord did really well was throwing the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean,
that's true.
Whoever's getting the ball to him, man. I mean, he's going to make them look really.
It's crazy. I mean, to be honest, they look good. I mean, they did look good.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, most people are going to look good throwing him, but still, like, you got to be able to put it there, and he did. So, I'm going to be honest. I think there's going to be a drop off at quarterback. There's no doubt. I don't think it's going to be as significant, and maybe as Brady's alluding to. I just feel like the system is going to help a lot. I mean, help a ton. And I think other quarterbacks are going to do some of the things CJ wasn't willing to do that are going to help them out tremendously, like scramble when you need to scramble.
Yep.
Okay, things of that nature. Move around in the pocket a little bit, get rid of the ball quicker at times. I think CJ just wasn't willing necessarily to do that. I think you have Ryan Hartline, Corey Dennis, guys really trying to pressure those guys into, or trying to teach those guys those kind of tools that CJ wasn't really willing to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're going to start stressing those things even more in the future, I guess.
Exactly.
Is the way I'm thinking about it.
And let me just say this, all right? When you're inheriting a Ferrari, all right, like, you're obviously going to have to test drive it and all that, see what's going on with it. CJ Stroud, when he got the Ferrari with all the nice pieces and all the stuff that looked really, really cool with it, he was able to drive really fast with it and make it look, so well on the road and all that stuff. Kyle McCord's got the test drive it a couple of times. It might not be as fast, but if it's still moving, we're still getting out there and all the other stuff's coming together, then anything can happen with a team like that. All right. And I want to take a moment. I mean, obviously we talk about Marvin Harrison a good amount here. He's the freakiest receiver that we've seen. He's the best receiver prospect in a long time, all that good stuff. To cement himself in a top 10 receiver of all time in college football or up into the upper echelon greats, what kind of stats is he gonna have to put up this year? Like stat predictions, like 80 plus catches, 1,100 plus yards. Just throw some numbers at me, man. I'm intrigued.
So I'll go with the yards and touchdowns. Catches, obviously it'll have to be a decent amount to get this place, but I got my yards and touchdowns, intact.
Yep.
Anywhere above 1,500 yards with this room, because I think we're going to run the ball a good amount this year. So I'm not going to make it obviously that's a ton, but I'm not going to make it like an astronomical number. I'm going to say break the Ohio State touchdown single season record. Not sure what that necessarily is. Do you know, Matt?
What is it now?
Single season TD catching record, Ohio State. Do you know that?
I don't know that. I would say it's probably 12-ish, around there.
Marv had
I'd have
14 last year.
What is it? What was it? 14?
Marv last year had 14, but I don't think that was the record.
I don't fucking know. No idea.
So I'm gonna say 16 touchdowns.
You said 16 touchdowns? Okay.
That's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say
that's a lot right there.
Yeah, especially considering the fact that Abuka, all the other receivers are gonna have to get their looks, and then I think we're gonna be I'm assuming we're gonna run the ball quite a bit more.
Yeah, and actually the single season record is Terry Glenn in 95. He had 17 touchdowns. Last year, Marvin Harrison tied David Boston for second all time with 14 touchdowns. He was only 3 touchdowns away. So
well, Marv's going to get 18 this year. That's what I'm going to say.
He'll get 18. All right. So he's got to play if they play, Ohio State plays 15 games this season. Obviously more than 1 touchdown a game, but he played Marv played in 13 games last year, I believe. Yep. 13, and he had 14 touchdowns.
He could have got that this year for real.
Yeah, he was going to be if he played in 15 games this year, he would have been very, very close. He would have been on average at about 16. So that would have been very close to look at right there. But Matt, what about you? What do you think Marvin Harrison numbers wise has to put up in production to be one of the top 10 greatest college receivers of all time?
I would say those numbers are accurate. I would say he needs about 80 catches, which, that's more than he would have last year. It's right around the same. I would say really to become one of the best, he just needs to show out in big games. Okay, I don't think it's necessarily just – I think the stats are just going to come. Like they're just – I would say the stats that Brady put out there are pretty close, maybe a little bit less. I just think he's just got to have some big-time moments in big games. Go up north and catch a touchdown pass in the second half against that team up north to put us ahead. Things along those lines that are really, just making big-time plays.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I would do that into big-time games.
Yeah.
And I just, for everybody's sake, please, I can't go through another fucking season where Ohio State's best player is either hurt or fucking suspended. I can't do it. Okay, I'm knocking on wood right now. I just can't. I can't fucking do it. Okay, Terrell Pryor was suspended when I was young. Okay, He got suspended for the whole fucking year. All right, Nick Bosa got hurt, tore his quad right off his bone or whatever the hell it was. He was clearly the best player. Chase Young got suspended for a couple games in 2019. Okay, Jackson Smith-Njigba done for the whole year. Okay, please just stay away from our best player, okay? One time.
Please, for the sanity of Matt Ricketts, man, just stay healthy.
Let us see a whole fucking year of the best player just one time, please. That's all I'm asking. And it always happens. That's crazy.
Yeah, we're all.
So you hope Nathan Ransom doesn't get hurt.
Funny, man. Funny. Before we get off the topic of receivers, I saw this earlier. It was Connor O'Gara. He posted this on Twitter. Saturday Down South posted as well. Obviously, the SEC, the whole affiliation there. Well, no affiliation, but they just post a lot of SEC shit. First round receivers in the last 5 drafts. Alabama has 6. Arizona State, LSU, Ohio State, and Oklahoma each have 2 apiece. And I guess he's trying to push a narrative that Alabama's receiver university. But when we all look at it, man, it's quality over quantity because, aren't half the Bama receivers drafted in that time frame in jail? Let's be real. Oh, yeah. I'm not trying to be funny, but
what was the time frame and how many did we have?
The time frame was the last 5 drafts. So I think we're looking at from 2018 to now. So Ohio State has had first round receivers. Ohio State's had 2 first-round receivers in that time frame. So, I don't know. But, look at it. Ohio State's had 2 first-round receivers, and it's Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, all right? LSU had 2, and Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, all right? Arizona State had 2. Yeah, from the same class. Arizona State had N'Keal Harry and Brandon Ayuk. And then who did Oklahoma have? Hollywood Brown and CeeDee Lamb, I think. Yeah, those were the 2. Yeah, and then let's name the Bama ones. Let's go Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, Jalen Waddle,
Yep.
Devonta Smith,
Yeah.
I don't even know after that, dude. But it's still like
J-Mo.
those guys are all right. Who?
JMO.
Yep, JMO too. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I mean, I don't know who the sixth one is, but the point is, man, like when it comes to these lists, like 6 first-round receivers, and the other 2, other schools have 2, 2, and 2, and 2. I mean, look at the quality receivers that those other schools produced that are in the NFL right now. I'm not saying Alabama receivers are bad, but like,
Yeah.
I mean, the LSU pair is great. The Ohio State pair is on its way to being great.
Yep.
Arizona State and N'Keal Harry,
is.
fuck that. But yeah, and I mean, Brandon Ayuk's not bad. And in Oklahoma, Hollywood Brown's got to find his way, and CeeDee Lamb's a very good receiver. So I don't know.
Well,
this is something I saw I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, definitely. Alabama,
I mean, you definitely got to bring it up.
the highest quantity of first-round receivers for sure out of everybody. But in my opinion, it should be more of how they turn out than how where they were drafted. Which where they were drafted matters, but like I know this wasn't that time frame, but Michael Thomas not being a first-rounder was just weird.
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin's playing like a first-rounder, obviously, no doubt about that. I believe he was late second or third. Can't remember. Maybe second. I can't remember. And then obviously we've got the guys in college right now and about to get drafted with JSN being a first-round pick, Marv next year, Emeka next year. So that'll get close. And no disrespect to Bama, great wide receiver production from them, as well as these other schools, except for Arizona State, kind of an outlier. Kind of weird. I didn't even realize they had 2. But then you think about it, they definitely did. No matter how. One of them certainly sucking, but
I'm surprised I realized the 2 that were there. I mean, Brandon Ayuk's a 2 for the Niners, and N'Keal Harry is N'Keal Harry. That's it's just kind of wild. But yeah, and then before we go, obviously we saw the stuff going on with Brian Hartline. He got in a crash and all with what was on an ATV, I believe, something like that. I mean he's all good. Hopefully everything, hopefully he's got a speedy recovery and all that stuff. We'll talk about that another time. We'll talk about that behind closed doors. Any final thoughts before we get on out of here, guys?
Lathan Ransom is going to win the Jim Thorpe Award this year.
I'd like to say something.
Okay.
Buckeye defense is going to be fucking good. Okay.
All
right.
They're going to be good.
Nice.
I'm telling you, they're going to be good.
Nice.
Now that's
all right.
sure.
All right. On that note, man, I mean, we're loving the defense. See what goes on with that. With that being said, that's Matt Ricketts at the bottom, Brady King to the right, and I'm your host, Chase Johnson. We will see you guys next time.